we denominate Bitcoin in dollars, but that will probably not make sense anymore at that time. And probably indeed the dollar might be replaced by something else, Bitcoin or the special drawing rights of the IMF or something else.
So the way that you see it, we're still due for, there's going to be a mania top similar to 2017 and 2013, right? This isn't going to go as smooth sailing from now on, right?
Indeed, yeah. So I think the greed and fear in people will stay. And that's causing the FOMO tops and the crash bottoms. And that's amplified, of course, by leverage. People that lend money to invest in this already very volatile and high return asset, which is very stupid. You should never ever do that. That's your certain ticket to hell. You will get liquidated. So, but it's fun, of course, to to play here. But yeah, so that and that's basically it. So I think indeed that it will not be a super cycle just yet, but it will have a FOMO top, and that can be even higher than we might expect, right? Because if we look at this chart, the FOMO top in 2017, the 20,000 was about 3 times above the 7,000, 7,500 model line. So if we would project that on today's stock to flow value of 100,000, you would get a top of 300,000. But then if you look at 2013, it was like 10x above the model line. So that would imply a $1 million top in, say, 2022, which is unthinkable right now. But, well, we did it in 2013 and actually in 2011 as well. So it wouldn't be it wouldn't be impossible. But I certainly think that after that, the fear kicks in, something happens, some people take profit or are going to hedge themselves with futures, and the whole thing starts tumbling down, and we crash back to I don't know to where, but yeah.
So you think we still got big crashes left in us, right?
Yes, and in a way that it must be like that, right? It's we get this high returns because there is high volatility. You cannot have one straight line up, because everybody would be buying Bitcoin and nobody would be selling. And I've never seen an asset that does have only upside and no volatility. It's in fact, it's a capital asset pricing model, a famous Nobel Prize winning model that's sort of the centerpiece of all finance, with a lot of critics, of course. But and that says there is a very distinct relation between the risk and return. So you cannot have the return without the risk.
If we had that, we'd have shot to 100 million already, and it would be over. Exactly. If there was no risk and volatility involved, but it has to be there because this is a process of discovery, and knowledge is not. And this is one of the big problems that many of the critics have is they say, well, if people know this is going to be the case, then people would just bid the price up and the model would be invalidated. So the model is self-invalidating. But it's not true, because knowledge is not, there's no such thing as the market knows. The market is made up of billions of people all over the world. Every single one of them has their ideas about what they know and what they think, and many of them are wrong. Many of them believe in ridiculous things like the efficient market hypothesis, and many of them don't know about Bitcoin, and many of them don't think that Bitcoin can be modeled like this. So they're still going to go through the emotional roller coaster of greed and fear, and they're still going to be over leveraged. This is the key thing, I think. As the price goes up, people become over leveraged, and as the price goes up, the new production increases. So it's kind of self-correcting in a way that we can't just have that super cycle, because you get, as the price goes up, people will over leverage, and the new product and Bitcoin will become more inflationary. The new production, the value of the new production is going to increase. So because the new production is increasing, Bitcoin becomes more inflationary. We need an increasing number of people to come in and buy more and more Bitcoin. But all the hardcore Bitcoiners are already overstretched because they're already over leveraged. And eventually we get to a point where the new money can't keep up with the new production. And that's when you start getting a little tick down, and then some people start getting liquidated, and then they can't come in and buy more because they got liquidated, and so now they have to sell to cover their liquidations. And then you begin the liquidation casket, and everything begins to fall apart faster and faster and faster, and then we get the crash. This is this dynamic. I discussed it with Michael Saylor. I had maybe the most popular episode that I've had on this podcast was with Michael Saylor when he came on, and we spoke for about 2.5 hours. It was a very, very fantastic discussion. But in that discussion, we disagreed about one thing, which is he said, I don't think we're going to be seeing many more. I don't think we're going to be seeing big crashes in Bitcoin. And I made the case for why I think, yep, 70, 80% crashes are still possible. And he said, no, 30, 40. Well, since then, we've had a 56% crash, which is kind of in the middle between the range that I gave and the range that he gave. But I think I still stand by my opinion that I think we'll still see 70, 80%. And, that doesn't make me a bear, because we could end up with a 70, 80% crash that takes us down to 80,000. And that,
it's actually
depends
very
on how high we go.
It's very interesting because Michael, I know why Michael thinks that, because he of course has a lot of experience in investing in high-tech companies, Google and Amazon. That's where he earned a lot of money with investing in those companies. And in those companies, the volatility was in the beginning when the adoption was not clear. But once the adoption kicked in, it was one straight line up. And he thinks the same is true for Bitcoin. But I would agree more with you, I guess, that the volatility stays, and that Bitcoin is not a company like Google and Amazon, but more like a commodity or a currency, and money in the end. By the way, I do think that we will have a super cycle or hyper Bitcoinization event eventually, when after the next halving we surpass the stock to flow ratio of real estate, stock to flow ratio of 100, then it will become the most scarce asset in the world, and probably also the most valuable asset with the highest market value, above 100 trillion US dollars, hence my name. So yeah, and that's where the stock to flow model sort of ends, right? That's where we have no data anymore. Then we're in terra incognita. We don't know what a stock to flow asset of 200 will be worth, and probably that means that asset will be the de facto money. And right now if we look at a chart on the y-axis, we denominate Bitcoin in dollars, but that will probably not make sense anymore at that time. And probably indeed the dollar might be replaced by something else, Bitcoin or the special drawing rights of the IMF or something else. And of course, all the gold investors hope that will be a gold-backed thing, gold-backed world currency. But I think there's a real chance that Bitcoin will be that better money, thermodynamically perfect money. And then of course stock flow model is done or must be changed, in that the dollar is not, we cannot measure it in dollars anymore, and Bitcoin should shift to the denominator of all other assets.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, You won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.